mission, solving mysteries in the night. Chasing shadows, finding answers, shining bright light. No one's left behind, in the darkness all alone. With a heart like a siren, she brings the lost ones home. Silent cries in the dark no longer have to be, for justice wheels keep turning, granny on the beat. Broken voices find their power, call out hope again. When Granny's crime busters ride, no victims left in vain. Bravery in her veins, truth she won't disguise. With a fire in her eyes, she's got nothing to deny. Granny fights for justice, never backs down from the call. For the voiceless and the missing, she'll stand tall. In a world full of shadows, she fights the unseen, a guardian of the truth in this wicked dream. Every story told brings her back to life. Granny's on the case, cutting through the lies. She guards the broken hearted from a world that hides. With unwavering spirit, she wears no disguise. Searching for the lost pieces of a shattered life. Granny brings the dawn after a longest night.
Hello, hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing good tonight. Hello, Ginger Girl. Shouldn't say tonight, but it's been a long day. It's been a long day. Long day. Goodness. So I'm wondering if we're competing with some other people here tonight or today. Brenda Jo just getting home from the doctor's office, so she's not going to be on tonight. She's still driving and she doesn't feel well, so she won't be here. And I wanted to let everybody know that K9 is just kind of taking a break right now. She you need a nap, yeah. Yeah, K9 is just feeling like she just needs a little break from things, I think everything with Sebastian, it gets to us after a while, right, guys? And so that's why tonight we're actually going to be talking about the Megan Boswell case. I know a few of you have been talking about it, and I really didn't know anything about it. So I did watch part of the trial today. Boring. Is that why you need a nap, Ginger? Because I know you were watching it too. I was falling asleep. I really was. I was like, oh, all those pictures, right? Now it's getting to the good part. It's getting to where they're showing what those pictures are, and that's what I wanted to see. And it was time to come on here. So I want to encourage everybody to come tomorrow. If you're not a member, become a member. It's going to be fun. I'm going to share some photos and a couple of short videos of my Vegas trip. I went to Vegas for my 65th birthday, which was a little over a year and a half ago. And I took Brenda Jo with me. And yeah, it was somebody put in the chat or in comments underneath my post saying Vegas will never be the same. And yeah, Vegas will never be the same after we were there. Oh my gosh, it was funny. We had a lot of fun. I haven't laughed that hard for a long time. So I thought, yeah, I will share that with you. And we'll go into it, guys. What can I give you as a teaser? I'm just trying to think here. Have you ever gotten up close and personal with Captain America, two gorillas? I'm trying to remember what else. Anyway, they wished me a happy birthday in the oddest way. So there you have it. Become a member if you want to see it, because it's a members only video. I will come on screen. I haven't been feeling the greatest the last couple of days, and last night I went to bed at 8:00. So I was wide awake early this morning. But hello, Melissa. Good to see you. Good to see you. So the case against Megan Boswell, guys. I only just watched a short piece of it, and then I watched, quite a bit of the trial today, just to kind of, see what's going on. I'm lost and confused, so I'm going to need your guys' help to get me on track. What I thought we'd do is take a look at Vinnie Politan's overview of it. And I realize that since court has started, some new information may have come out already. So you thought what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas? Well, I don't know that I'll tell everything. Oh, gosh. But I will tell some fun stuff. Oh my gosh. It was so much fun. We had a lot of fun. Yeah, I think of that trip. There was something that there was a reason why I wanted to go. Okay, not going to say that reason until tomorrow. And so that turned out very, very special for me. Very special. Meant so very much to me. And but then all the rest of it, and I have to tell you, Brenda Jo really contributed. She was the reason I had so much fun. So I want to encourage you guys. I hope she's feeling up to it tomorrow to be in there, because she can help me tell it. But yeah, it was it was so much fun. Yeah, you and I would be good for the jury since we know nothing about this case, right? Absolutely. So I'm gonna share my screen and we'll watch. And please, please, if something has changed from what Vinny has said here in the overview, tell me in the comments. Okay, I want to know, because I want to know about this case. All right.
Of baby Evelyn. She was just 15 months when she went missing, but it took another month and a half for someone to call police. This story beyond tragic. Here's more.
I just want her back. That's all I want. I've been so long without her.
That's 18-year-old Megan Boswell in February.
Okay. I may know not much about this case, but that is so fake. I can't handle it. I'm sorry, guys. My opinion, that is so fake. I'm sorry. If somebody believes she's innocent, I'm sorry. But to me, that's very fake.
February of 2020, talking about her missing toddler, Evelyn.
Evelyn. Hi.
Oh.
15-month-old Evelyn was reported missing in February, even though she was last seen months before.
And I know a lot of people are like, oh, why didn't you report it missing earlier? Because my mom threatened me, and I just want her back.
Boswell told police her mother had taken Evelyn.
We've been looking for baby Evelyn since last Tuesday. We've been working 24/7 nonstop. We've received a number of conflicting, inaccurate statements from the mother, Megan Boswell, Evelyn's mother.
When Evelyn wasn't with Megan's mother or her own father, the investigation revealed Megan was lying.
As a result, she has been charged with false reporting.
Megan was arrested and taken into custody. 10 days later, 2 months after Evelyn was last seen, Megan's father called police and suggested they search his property.
During the search, investigators discovered human remains believed to be those of a 15-month-old girl.
Megan was charged with premeditated murder, child abuse, child neglect, abuse of a corpse, tampering with evidence, and 12 counts of lying to police.
We have filed a notice to seek a sentence of imprisonment for life without the possibility of parole.
Court testimony revealed Evelyn was found in Megan's old playhouse behind a shed, tightly wound in a fleece blanket, wrapped in aluminum foil, then a trash bag, and shoved head first while alive into a trash can. The medical examiner determined her death was intentional.
Oh my gosh, guys. She was alive. That's horrific. What I was going to say before he said that was 12 counts of lying to the police. Isn't that interesting? Think of the case that we've been talking on and what's going to happen there, huh? I did hear that. I saw him on the stand, which he looks nothing like what he does in his army photo. He's actually very handsome in his army photo. And he took a paternity test after all this, and he's not the father. So we don't even know who the father of this baby was. That's really sad. And guys, I mean, children are blessings no matter what. But I don't know about you, but when my kids were this age, oh, they were so much fun. A lot of work, right? But so much fun. They were doing their first. They were walking. They were learning to talk. They were, oh, their giggles, their little giggles. Oh, how can you do such a thing? Found in a shed, wrapped in a blanket, then wrapped in tinfoil. I don't get the tinfoil part. And then a plastic bag head first while she was still alive. That's horrific.
What the medical examiner said, She was alive when she was wrapped, placed upside down in that trash bin in the playhouse on the property, discarded while she was still alive. Now, when this story happened, we began covering it as a missing child. And we're wondering, where is baby Evelyn? And Megan had spoken out and had said some things and had a story about what happened. And that brings us to the first question in our investigation. Does Megan's story make sense? Didn't make sense to investigators. They charged her with lying. That's how they first arrested her. And they've also said that her story has vacillated and changed.
Yeah.
Seen this before. And sometimes people who do lie like that don't get convicted. Joining me to help us through all this, clinical and forensic neuropsychologist, author of the book, The New Rules of Attachment, Dr. Judy Ho is with us. Also joining us, body language expert and author of the New York Times bestselling book, You Can't Lie to Me, Janine Driver. Great to see you both. Let's start here. I'm going to play for you Megan Boswell's interview with WJHL. We've got, not a lot of it, but we've got enough of it to have an idea of what her story is and what she's saying and how she's saying it. I want you both to watch it carefully and then give me, from your perspectives, your analysis of what we heard initially from Megan Boswell. Let's take a look.
We went to go out to eat, and then my mom came and got her. She was wearing a little hot pink tracksuit with a matching bow.
Not a lot of it, but we've got enough of it to have an idea of what her story is and what she's saying and how she's saying it. I want you both to watch it carefully and then give me, from your perspectives, your analysis of what we heard initially from Megan Boswell. Let's take a look.
We went to go out to eat, and then my mom came and got her. She was wearing a little hot pink tracksuit with a matching bow and little matching shoes. A little bit before Christmas, I was trying to protect my mom, maybe in hopes, she'd just tell them where Evelyn was, but obviously she's not going to. I've told TBI where to find her in Mendota. My mom took her to a campground and a silver camper, and if they don't go tonight, I'm going to go find her myself.
When did you know that something was wrong?
Just when she left and took off, and just to answer her phone, or the person that is in Mendota has had her the whole time.
Very specific story. Janine Driver, I know the clips are quick, but you're quick too in picking things up. What did you see here, Janine?
First of all, nice to see you, Dr. Judy. I love you, sister. And nice to see you, Vinny. All right. First of all, she does some mouth stretching here, Vinny and Dr. Judy, and you at home, is her mouth pulls into the side a little bit. It's called mouth stretching. And this is done with suppressing of information and internal conflict. And also when someone made a mistake, think about it. You're going to do a keynote presentation, Vinny, or you're at CrimeCon, and you forgot your cord to charge your computer. You go, forgot the cord. It's connected with fear. So we have that. Now let's get out of body language really quick, because the biggest thing here that tell that there's more to the story is the word obviously. Obviously is trying to sell us a bill of goods. It's saying it's self-evident, it's undeniable. When people say obviously, truthful people convey, liars are trying to convince us. Why? To avoid deeper scrutiny. I got my list here really quick, Vinny, and you at home and you, Dr. Judy. Elizabeth Holmes, obviously the technology is accurate and reliable. Roger Goodell lying about the Ray Rice sucker punch of his fiance. Obviously, we have a very firm policy on domestic violence. Lance Armstrong, obviously I've never tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. Bill Clinton, obviously the relationship was completely professional. So we hear that.
And Katie used obviously. Mike DeMann talked about that. Isn't that funny, guys? What she's saying here fits everything, including Sebastian's case. When they say obviously, typically they're lying.
With a lot of killers, a lot of people who are withholding information, whether it has to do with the political world, sports world, you're holding something back, obviously, is a huge hot spot.
Okay, Dr. Judy Ho, she was a teen mom, and then her child disappeared. She was still a teenager. She's young. She She appears a little bit younger than she actually was, Megan Boswell, but obviously a very young mom. The father of the child is not around. He was in the military and was stationed elsewhere around this time. What are you hearing and what are you seeing from Megan Boswell?
Well, Janine made some great observations, and I will just add that Megan does, as you just mentioned, Vinny, act and behave younger than her chronological age. Sometimes in this interview, her emotions just seem like they're not totally matching to the context, the situation. We look for that a lot as psychologists. We look at whether or not someone's affect, their displayed emotion matches the situation, matches what they're talking about, the situation that they're in. And it just seems like her emotions, as you're even playing these clips as I'm speaking, they are vacillating a lot. And sometimes they may not be matching exactly what you think it should be displayed at when somebody has a specific topic that they're talking about. In this case, missing child. What's your emotional reaction to that?
Absolutely. Let's do this. There's a timeline because her story seems to change a little bit as well. February 18th, 2020, Evelyn Boswell reported missing, not seen since December of 2019. That's a problem, right? Megan tells investigators Evelyn is with her father, Ethan Perry. That's the young man who's in the military. February 19th, the next day, TBI issues an Amber Alert. February 21st, Megan tells reporters with WCYB she left Evelyn with someone while she went to work. 3 days later, Megan tells WJHL her mother left Evelyn with someone at a campground in Mendota. A campground. The next day, Megan tells investigators Evelyn is dead. She says she or her boyfriend rolled over her while sleeping. Megan's charged with false reporting and taken into custody. March 6th, Evelyn's remains are finally discovered on the family property on Muddy Creek Road. August 19th, she's indicted on 19 counts, including 2 counts of felony murder. And then in June of 2024, she's charged with first-degree premeditated murder.
Why did it take 4 years to charge her with first-degree premeditated red rum is my question. Okay. So now I do know a little bit. Her mother and her mother's boyfriend, pretty sketchy from what I'm hearing. Very, I guess, has troubles of their own with jail and stuff like that. I don't know if it's drugs. I don't know what it is, but is that why Megan blamed them first? But then obviously police found that Evelyn wasn't with her mother. And she was in foster care when she had Evelyn. And then she moved to her dad's. And then allegedly she moved out to a trailer. But from what I'm gathering, they don't know the exact date that Evelyn passed. From what I'm gathering, it was when she lived with her dad that the baby went missing. And maybe that's, I don't know. There's a lot going on here, right? That's what you guys are saying. She got pregnant while in foster care and doesn't know who the father is. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? And she does act younger than what she is, right? Even in this picture, I don't know how old she was in this picture, but she looks young. But even the way she's acting in that interview, she looks like she's about 15. I don't know. Very weird case.
Janine Driver, when there's different stories at different times and seemingly changing from day to day, that's a problem. That's a problem. And I guess what the jury will have to figure out and what prosecutors have to surmise is which one is the truth. If you have someone who's giving different stories and you're looking at their body language, if they're all recorded, are there things that you can find? Can you tell when someone is switching from a lie to the truth or from a lie to a truth to the lie?
Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. First of all, we're looking for, and I love what Dr. Judy was talking about, is like this affect. If you're telling me you're sad and you're scared, I'm looking for sadness and fear in your face, a micro expression at least. What we saw here, even in that last clip you showed us, was laughing. That's called duping delight. It's like I got away with something. There was a guy, I don't know if you remember, you at home or you, Vinny, Neil Entwistle out of Massachusetts.
Yes.
He killed his young daughter, and he was laughing in court. I remember Court TV way back in the day called me on that. And while they were showing the onesie covered in blood as evidence, he's laughing. Duping delight is I'm getting away with something. So in that last clip, we've got this affect that's out of place with what she's talking about. And that smile right there. Susan Smith did that, remember back in 1994, when she killed her 2 young sons and put them in a car and drowned them. So with regard to looking at affect with the, whatever story she's telling me in that moment, I'm looking, does her body language and do her word choices, are they congruent with what she's saying? That's number 1. Number 2, when we lie, we'll do things like we'll touch our eye. When we touch our
When you look at her right here, guys, and she had her hand up, so she must have been swearing that she would tell the truth. To me, it doesn't look like she realizes she's in this much trouble. Did it look like it to you? I mean, duping delight is very much what I see here, but she thinks she's gotten away with it, in my opinion. She doesn't realize how much trouble she's really in, and that it's going to cost her her life in prison. Yeah, the time for when the baby passed, we don't know. They evidently, I don't know. It's Tennessee. It does get a little cold, not badly cold. But she was put in a garbage bag and then a bin, right? Yeah. The tinfoil, I don't get. I don't know what she thought that was going to do. I don't get that at all. Not only that, if the baby was still alive, she would have been able to kick through that pretty easily, right? Tinfoil rips like nothing if you're messing with it too much. So I don't know why she, did that. I don't know. Very, very strange.
our eye, it tickles our brain and relaxes us. So when there's an increase in stress, increase in face touches happen. Sighing happens. We sigh, the average person sighs 5 times to 10 times in an hour, the average person. But when we start to lie and tell a story, you can even see this on Tonight Show when Jimmy Fallon would do a game where you have to pull an object out of a box and either tell the truth or lie. Google that and look at John Cena, and you'll hear just before he makes up his lie describing something, he goes, ah. And Jimmy busts him. He's like, dude, that's your lie. So when there's a sigh going on, it means there's more to the story going on. So there are a lot of different tells we're looking for and listening for. And I think the jury's going to get this right because she's all over the place.
Absolutely. All right, Dr. Judy Ho is going to stay with us. Big thank you to Janine Driver. Coming up next, why did it take so long to report Evelyn missing?
This case is unlike anything I've ever been involved in. We've had a child that's not been seen by the parents or certain family members in almost 2 months.
Widow or mastermind behind her murder.
Monica Cimentelli is accused of plotting to kill her husband.
Famed celebrity hairstylist Fabio Cimentelli.
Prosecutors.
I always have concerns about trafficking and any type of fence, across state lines and sailing. And, I always think of the worst, but, we just got to hope and pray little Evelyn's okay and we can get her back as soon as possible. This case is unlike anything I've ever been involved in. We've had a child that's not been seen by the parents or certain family members in almost 2 months.
Think about that last statement by the sheriff for just a second. Let it sink in. 15-month-old, right? A 15-month-old. When you have a family and there's a 15-month-old in the family, that baby, that child, that little girl is the star of the show. She is the center of the universe for a family.
Yeah.
And this child is missing for almost 2 months, and no one's like, hey, where's the baby?
Okay, I can answer that one. She's estranged from everybody. Her mother and her mother's boyfriend, they're in their own little world with their problems, right? Her dad doesn't sound like he pays much attention to her. She's in foster care. You never know what that's like, right? I mean, you just, and besides which, she was out of foster care, after she had Evelyn. When she turned 19, she was out. So, they're, unless they're super wonderful foster parents, or they might not keep up with her, right? I'd like to think they would try, but think about it. She was estranged from everyone. It's no wonder why no one, paid any attention that Evelyn was missing.
Where's little Evelyn? I want to give her a hug. Like, what's going on here?
Oh, Victoria.
What is going on here? Here's the original Amber Alert, and this is when we first started covering this story. As soon as we saw this, Evelyn has blonde hair, blue eyes, stands 2 feet tall, weighs 28 pounds, was last seen wearing a pink suit, pink shoes, and a pink bow. She was entered as a missing child on Tuesday, February 18th, 2020.
Is that really what
but
she
was reportedly
found?
last seen on December 26th, the day after Christmas, 2019. Brings us to the next question in our investigation. And this is an important one. This is the one that got everyone so riled up. Why did it take so long to report Evelyn missing? Right? Well, if someone's responsible for her death, I can understand that, right? But this is a beautiful little girl. Where is everybody? Still with us, neuropsychologist Dr. Judy Ho. And joining us, reporter and anchor for WCYB. She has covered this story and this case since the beginning. Kristen Kwan is with us. All right, Kristen, let me begin with you. Like, what is going on? Like, there's a family here, right? There's a father, I believe he's in the military, but there's family members around, uncle, grandma, grandpa. I don't know who else is in her life. What was going on here for almost 2 months?
Yeah, so you can imagine this case, when this all happened, we were tracking down every person that might have come in contact with Megan just to find out that exact question. What exactly happened to Evelyn and who knows where she is? So we were trying to talk to everyone, her mom, her dad, grandma, grandpa, just to see what kind of answers we could find. When we spoke with Megan, she told us that the reason that she didn't report her missing for so long was because she knew who had her. And she was afraid that if she went and told that person, oh, give me back my baby, they would vanish with her forever.
Dr. Judy Ho sounding a lot like Zanny the Nanny from a case I covered many years ago down in Florida. Kelly Marie Anthony went missing. That was 31 days. And then finally, grandma and grandpa put their foot down and said, that's it. Where is Kaylee? And when Casey couldn't answer the question, they called. It seems like something similar happened here because it was Grandpa who ends up calling. It
Yes,
wasn't.
she was.
It wasn't Megan. This. What's the psychology?
So, yeah, I did look up some pictures, so I kind of wanted to show them to you guys. So this is Megan's mom and her boyfriend. Evidently mugshots, guys. I didn't look into what they're all been accused of, but that is who her mother is. That's her role model, right? This was evidently Ethan Perry, who Megan told him that he was the father. But after Evelyn went missing, he took a paternity test, and he's not the father. This is the boyfriend that she was living with, Preston Hunter Wood, who, from what I'm hearing now today, is that he is in a mental institution and he cannot testify. And I don't know if he's being accused or just what's going on there. Maybe you guys know. But those are the main players, right? I didn't have a picture of her dad, but I did want to show you, her mother, the boyfriend, kind of role models they are, right? It would have been better for Evelyn if Perry was the dad, but evidently he wasn't. So let's see what we got here. Yeah, Victoria, she was beautiful, right? Yeah, the granddad seems to be the only one who wanted to see the baby, and he is the one that told the police where he said, check my property. Maybe she put her there somewhere, He definitely was cooperating. Her dad testified. Gotcha. Who was her mother and boyfriend were accused of stealing a car from Hunter. Yeah. So you can kind of see the kind of family that she's from, right? That doesn't make it all right. Right? It almost sounds like she wasn't. I don't know. It seems as though mentally she's not where she should be for her age when you listen to her talk. But I don't know. I don't know why that is. I mean, is it some kind of mental health issue? Some kind of disability that she may have? We don't know, right? We don't know that, but she doesn't seem as though she is mentally where she should be in age. All right.
Ology here to just like people aren't going to notice that a 15-month-old beautiful child is missing?
Right, and some of what we don't know is what were the conversations in between these 2 months between Megan, the parents? Did they talk? Did she make up stories in between and say, oh yeah, she's just playing in the backyard, so you can't see or talk to her now? I don't know how many times they may have attempted to check on her and how many times Megan may have said things that sounded reassuring, at least on the phone, that seemed like plausible things that could essentially explain why Megan was.
Don't these little videos make you want to just take her, pick her up and hug her and hold her, guys? That's what I feel I want to do when I see those pictures. I want to protect her before she's gone, kind of thing. That bothers me.
Wasn't able to bring her child to the phone so that the grandparents could actually hear her voice. But I'm glad that eventually the grandparents called. Unfortunately, it took 2 months. And then when Megan was interviewed on the other side, she had this story that didn't really make sense, that she knew who had her child. So that's enough for you as a mother? Like, that's enough? What about everything else? How often are you talking to your own child if that was even a true story? And this, I think, is an indication of how young she is, in terms of her mental age. Like, she's essentially a child herself trying to make up a story. She knows that she's in trouble and she's trying to get out of it. And it's a very juvenile story.
Yep. Younger than Casey Anthony. I think the lies are a little less sophisticated. Casey was very quick on her feet. She could lie super fast. Kristen, what do we know about the living arrangements here for everyone? I understand there's some sort of a family compound that has homes and structures on it where some people are living. Megan, Evelyn, what was their situation? Who else was around?
Yeah, so it kind of seems like Megan kind of bounced around places, but the family compound that you're talking about would be her father's place. So he owns a company in Sullivan County, and he has a house, and then he also has, multiple places where he keeps equipment and things like that. So it's a fairly, I would say a rather large compound. Where he has multiple structures on that compound, including sheds and things of that nature. And then her mother lives, in a separate place, and had a boyfriend at the time. And so it was kind of hectic when we were covering this, because like I said, we were trying to track down anyone that might know Megan or know Evelyn. And so we were kind of running all over the county to try to figure out where she was staying at the time.
Yeah, Dr. Judy Ho, it does seem there was some level of chaos in the home. Now, as you mentioned, Evelyn is young. Now, we just saw, video of mom. She's wearing orange for a reason, because she has run-ins with the law all the time. Wow. Police had been to the compound. There were issues there. So there was some level of chaos in the family. So from your perspective, how does all that play into everything that happened here? The chaos that Evelyn may have been subjected to as she's growing up and now trying to raise a child within that chaos that sort of continued.
Well, chaos is unfortunately a huge deterrent to healthy development for babies and for toddlers, because they need consistency and patterns to be able to thrive. So not being able to really understand what's going on and not seeing patterns around her, I'm sure that was very difficult for Evelyn in her early years, for the times that she lived. And I think even for the mom, the fact that she had all of this chaos around her, she's trying to figure it out. It kind of feels like she's trying to run from one crisis to the other. And it's a very, very sad story. It's a very tragic story, because essentially, I think this was going to end up in some kind of disaster. This is actually the worst disaster it could have ended up in, but it could have ended up in CPS at some point. There could have been Child Protective Services involved at an earlier stage. And in some ways, I wish that they were involved in an earlier stage, because maybe this death would have been prevented. But I think that eventually she was going to run into trouble with Child Protective Services or the police or some type of major consequence. And Evelyn probably would not have ended up in her care anyway.
Yeah, and we're looking at these videos. I think some of these videos were actually shot by Evelyn, not by Evelyn, by Megan, Evelyn's mom, of these cute little videos. And that's the part that shocks you. How can anyone even consider bringing harm to a child, to that child, to your own child? Yeah. Dr. Judy Ho, thank you so much for all your insight and help. Kristen Kwan from WCYB is going to stick around. We have more questions for her. Up next, I just mentioned Casey Anthony, didn't I? Is the case against Megan stronger than the case against Casey?
So Hunter's dad said he had a mental breakdown because he was falsely accused of hurting the baby. He only went to the hospital a few days ago. Okay, I thought in court today they said it was 2 months ago. But I could be wrong. I call nonsense on what that woman said. There was testimony that she started off taking very good care of the baby. Yeah, I did hear that too. And then somewhere along the way, it dwindled. Right? But I do think that, if she was moving from place to place, which kind of sounds like it was, she moved from foster homes to dad, then by herself with the baby. Allegedly, we don't know for sure if she went by herself with the baby or not. But that, all that movement, I think a toddler could get somewhat, confused by it, especially if Megan is all stressed out. That's going to affect a toddler. But we don't know. I mean, I don't think we can really say for sure. We'd have to see a lot more video of Evelyn, to be able to determine if she was, affected by that, right? If she was got agitated easily or something like that, then, you might be able to tell that. But unfortunately, she's gone. There's no way that we're gonna know that anything that happened. This is a case that is kind of scary if you think about it. Now, this Hunter, the boyfriend, was with her around the time that Evelyn went missing, as far as we know. But all of a sudden, he's in a mental hospital. And this is how many years after Evelyn has been gone? Why is he just now going into, a mental institution? To me, that sounds a little fishy, guys. I'm just going to say, sounds a bit fishy. We're 4 years into this. Yeah, Melissa, that's a good thought. I wonder if she wanted to be with Hunter and the baby interfered with that. Yeah. You know what I would ask her if I was a lawyer? What do you use tinfoil for? I mean, seriously, guys. What are her thoughts surrounding tinfoil? Yeah, right before court, he goes into the mental institution. That's no coincidence, in my opinion. None. And is that going to affect this trial now? Because remember, they found the body, which, I mean, we haven't gotten to forensic evidence yet, have we? I don't know. What did they find as far as any kind of forensic evidence on the baby's body? Were there fingerprints on the tinfoil, guys? Hey. The defense could use Hunter as reasonable doubt and she could get off. Yeah, but not if her fingerprints are on the tinfoil. Think about it. Tinfoil is shiny. And whenever guys, you can see fingerprints all over tinfoil, right? Unlike anything else. But that is a really good example. Tinfoil shows all your fingerprints. So that's a really good example of when we're touching something, when we're wrapping something up, how much our fingerprints show. Hunter better have a good alibi. Well, he may not be able to testify. They're not going to be able to get him to testify if he's in a mental institution. But if the mental institution doesn't keep him, then they can force him to testify.
I'm Vinny Politan. We continue our investigation of the murder of baby Evelyn. Her mom was just a teenager when Evelyn was born and was still a teenager when her daughter was killed. And prosecutors want that teenage mom to spend the rest of her life behind bars. Here's the story. Little baby Evelyn lived with her single teenage mom, Megan Boswell, in Sullivan County, Tennessee. She was being raised with the help of her grandparents on the family compound. But in February of 2020, Evelyn was reported missing by her grandpa. Her mom cried on TV looking for her baby, then was arrested for misleading police. Things then changed dramatically in the case when Evelyn was found dead on the family compound. And now Megan has been charged with first-degree premeditated murder. When we first started covering the story, you know the first thing I was thinking about, that woman from Central Florida. I'm going to use her name. I have been using her name during this program, Casey Anthony. Because of this, the initial similarity is so striking that a small child is gone and nobody says anything. In the case of Casey Anthony, it was 30 days, 31 days before that 911 call was made by Cindy and George after Casey could not answer the question, where is Kaylee? And that brings me back to what happened in that case. If you'll recall, the verdict shocked me a little bit. Those of you who were watching me that day probably didn't recognize me. I didn't recognize myself. I'd never been so floored because I was there day in and day out. The evidence. Who lies about their child? If your child is missing, who does nothing? Who would let their child just rot somewhere? And that was basically the defense. And then you know how it turned out. I'm going to close my eyes for a second, but I'll remind you.
As to the charge of first-degree murder, verdict as to count 1, we, the jury, find the defendant not guilty, so say we all, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, on this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson. As to the charge of aggravated child abuse, verdict as to count 2, we, the jury, find the defendant not guilty, so say we all, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson. As to the charge of aggravated manslaughter of a child, verdict is to count 3. We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty. So say we all, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson. As to the charge of providing false information to a law enforcement officer, verdict as to count 4. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of providing false information to a law enforcement officer as charged in the indictment. So say we all, dated Orlando, Orange County, Florida.
I don't get that either, guys. So, you know, I mean, I did follow this case back then, but how do you find her guilty of providing false information to law enforcement, but you don't find her guilty of manslaughter or red rum? How does that happen? I understand Vinny's confusion there, right? I mean, they had the body. And this girl has been nothing but trouble since she's been out. Didn't she marry somebody after she took him away from his wife or something? And I don't know, all kinds of stuff going on. But she didn't have any more kids, did she? I don't think she did. Anyway, but let's continue.
Florida, this 5th day of July, 2011, signed for person.
Is it over? It's over. Okay. Thank you. They told me it's over. She lied again. And many of us believe that was sort of like the foundation of a strong case. What mother is going to lie about that? This is the most important thing in your world, in your life. The child, your child. So after that verdict, you know, some reflection and trying to figure out what happened. And I just have looked at every case differently since that point forward in my career.
Me too, Melissa.
And then another level of skepticism about the strength of evidence. And that brings us to the next question in our investigation. Is the case against Megan stronger than the case against Casey? Because I know how that one turned out.
Tell us.
Is the case against Megan for the murder of little Evelyn stronger than the case against Casey that was unsuccessful for the murder of Kaylee Marie? Okay, I need some help. Oh, we're bringing in the heavy hitters. Joining me, former chief judge in Florida. You recognize him, folks. He presided over the Casey Anthony murder trial, America's judge, Belvin Perry, and criminal defense and family law attorney in Western Tennessee, Courtney Simmons is with us. Great to have you both here. Let me start with the lies. Judge, I thought the lies were the foundation against Casey. Are the lies more incriminating in this case? Do you think they'll carry more weight?
The answer to that, Vinny, is yes. She lied at least 4 times. When you take the lies and apply those to the death, in this particular case, you have a cause of death, asphyxiation. You have someone that puts someone in a trash can, suffocates them by the use of a blanket and aluminum foil, which the medical examiner will more than likely elaborate on the details surrounding how that child died and how that child suffered. So you have lies plus concrete evidence dealing with the cause of death.
You bring up a great point, Judge, and I want to put this up on the screen. This is from TBI, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, Special Agent David Gratz. We found the remains inside of a building that was referred to by the family as the Playhouse. It was out behind what I would call a storage building on the property, and what I would call a storage building, and the Playhouse was built by the defendant's Megan's grandfather as a playhouse for her when she was a child. So the playhouse that it was Megan's playhouse where Evelyn was found. And it was Megan's grandpa who had built that on the family property. And Judge, what's significant to me about that is, one, comparing this to the Casey Anthony case, is that when Kaylee Marie, by the time that police finally found her, after Roy Cronk calls a second time months later about finding the remains of baby Evelyn are in much better shape and tell more of a story than little Kaylee's remains told.
Absolutely. The autopsy tells us a lot about how she died, about how she suffered. And as I previously stated, those factors were missing in the Anthony case. It was dry bones. There was nothing for the medical examiner to say except that she died by unnatural causes.
Right. So here, it's a stronger case for murder because of the remains. Then you look at where she was found, to draw that nexus that you would get rid of a body in a place that was your place. Like, this was her place on the property. This was Megan's playhouse. It had nothing to do really with anyone else in the family. So that's another connection versus where Kaylee was found, which was close to the house, not on the property, but in a random place in the woods, just off the road, around the corner from the house.
But remember, Vinny, there was evidence presented where a dog found the smell of death near the playhouse in the backyard of the Anthony's residence, and there was a shovel that was found where it looks like she attempted to bury her by the playhouse in the backyard.
Wow. Another similarity between these two. There are so many. The delay in reporting. Now, I want to put this up on the screen again. This is from this TBI special agent. This is an alleged somewhat of an admission, but not really. She did say she was aware that Evelyn was dead. However, she told the story that it resulted from either her or Hunter Wood rolling over the child while sleeping. That was her boyfriend, but she did not know the location of Evelyn's body. This now sounds almost exactly like Casey's defense. Accidental death, and I don't know what happened to the body afterwards. And, you know, the jury didn't convict Casey, even though she knew that her daughter was dead and moved on with her life, but claimed she didn't know where the baby was, much like Casey's defense argued inside that courtroom.
I would be shocked and amazed if this jury, somewhere in the recesses of their mind, would think of the Casey Anthony case. And there, more than likely, is going to be a different result.
So what you're telling me, Judge, and you have presided over these cases, you have tried these cases for so many years, that the case against Megan strikes you on its face as being stronger than the case against Casey Anthony.
While the Anthony case was strong, this case is significantly stronger. These jurors are not going to leave their common sense on the courthouse doorstep when they enter.
Wow, guys. That's powerful. You're listening to the judge from the Casey Anthony case, and look at the similarities that were there, right? Oh my gosh. You're looking at, she looked like she was going to try to bury her next to the playhouse. The delay in reporting the baby missing, knowing their child was dead, but not knowing where the body was. I mean, and, you know, like the judge said, the medical examiner is going to be able to say what happened to the baby versus Kaylee's. It was just bones. They couldn't significantly say what happened to Kaylee. Yes. It was alive in the garbage can. So whoever put that baby in there, I mean, think about that. If the medical examiner knew that the baby was alive in the garbage can, then the medical examiner knows exactly that baby was asphyxiated and purposely put there. Tinfoil, like I said. I'm sure they're getting prints off that tinfoil. Because honestly, I do not think that Megan was smart enough to put on gloves. Don't see it, guys. I just don't see it. Now, could it have been Hunter that put the body there? Or the baby there? Right? Could have. But this is powerful. So it gives me hope for this case, right? It gives me hope. More hope than I felt today watching that trial when they were talking about Hunter being in the mental institution, because I think he was going to be a big part of this trial. Because I think Actually, the defense was going to throw him under the bus is what I think was going to happen, right? But they can't necessarily do that now. You know, if the mental institution feels that Hunter is unstable right now, they're not going to release him. And he won't be able to testify, guys. And I don't think that's going to stop the trial from going forward. I honestly don't. There's just enough evidence with what, the body, the medical examiner's testimony, that's going to speak for itself. It's going to speak for itself. So I feel pretty good now. When you're listening to the judge of the Casey Anthony trial, and what I'm gleaning from this is he didn't really agree with the outcome of Casey's trial either. I don't think he did, honestly. Because you heard him say the jury is not going to leave their common sense at the door of that courthouse. I think that's fun. I like that he's speaking out. I like that he's not fun. That's not the right word, but you know what I mean. I like that he's speaking out. I like that he's giving his honest opinion on the case. He's not connected to it, right? But he was connected to Casey Anthony, and he has a right to talk about it. Yeah, I do. I think they're going to still try to throw him under the bus. But because he won't be there, and I don't know that they'll let that come in, that he's in a mental institution, because that's HIPAA. So, or did his father say that on the stand? I don't know, guys. Is there? What are the charges against her? That will tell you. We heard them all at the beginning. Well, let's continue on, and maybe he'll say.
And what do you think are the potential problems or pitfalls or traps that the prosecution can fall into here? If you were going to advise the prosecution in this case, what would you say to them going into this?
Well, number one, they're going to need to try to explain the conduct of this young lady during the time of missing. They're going to also have to debunk the finger pointing that she did towards the father, towards this mythical neighbor, towards her mother. So in other words, tear down all possible defenses that they may put up. And she's going to also more than likely point the finger at someone else. But, you have the legion of lies, and they're going to have to point out she can't be believed. The defense can't be believed. That the evidence is strong in this case, and the evidence is unrefuted.
All right, the judge is going to stay with us. We had some technical difficulties with Courtney. Sorry for that. We'll get her back on another day. Still to come, as the judge is saying, is Megan going to point the finger at her family?
I was trying to protect my mom, maybe in hopes, she'd just tell them where Evelyn was, but obviously she's not going to.
Obviously.
Childhood friendship that turned into a feud and ended with shots.
Obviously. I was trying to protect my mom, but obviously. Well, another lie there, right? goodness.
Fired.
Now, a famous rapper and Rihanna's significant other
Faces fell.
Led TBI agents and Sullivan County detectives to a property belonging to a family member of Evelyn's mother in the 500 block of Muddy Creek Road in Blumpville. During the search, investigators discovered human remains believed to be those of a 15-month-old girl. The remains will be sent for an autopsy and a positive identification. At this time, the investigation is in the very early stages. There is a lot of work left to be done, and right now, this is the extent of what we can provide today.
You could tell from just listening to the sheriff how difficult this was for him. And that, I mean, this is their job. This is what they sign up to do. But these cases are tough. You're looking for a child. You want to find the child. And they found a body instead.
You know, think about our guys in blue who have to deal with this stuff, guys. It's not easy, right? It's never easy. I think about the Chad Dorman case when the officers and they showed their body cam coming up and he had red rummed all three of his little boys. They were like a year apart in age and like the youngest being 2 or 3. Horrible, you know, and the officers coming on that. And it breaks my heart for these men, you know. And so then when I hear of, talk of wanting to get rid of police, that makes me so angry because look at what they do every day, putting their lives on the line and what they subject themselves to keep us safe, right? Hello, Jackie O. So the jury already knows he is in the hospital. That isn't good. That's not good. That should not have been allowed in. No death penalty because of her age at the time. Yeah. That's right. If they're through 18, is that what it is? But the minute they turn 19, then they're not eligible for the death penalty. I forget that. Wow. Okay.
So it's on family property. So I want to take a moment just to go through some of the people in Evelyn's family, people who are in the life of this 15-month-old child. Evelyn, obviously 15 months old, 2 feet, 28 pounds, beautiful blonde hair, blue eyes. Megan is the teenage mother of Evelyn. Okay, she's the one who's been charged with first-degree premeditated murder. Ethan Perry is Evelyn's dad. Megan originally said that Ethan had Evelyn, but it was determined that he was stationed in Louisiana on active duty, so he was eliminated.
Okay, we do know more than Vinny Ginger. Ethan Perry is not, it turns out, is not Evelyn's father. The DNA came back stating it wasn't. So this figure right there that says Ethan Perry, that name needs to go and a question mark put there because we do not know who Evelyn's daddy really truly is.
As any suspect. Tommy Boswell Sr., this is Evelyn's grandpa, Megan's father, reports Evelyn missing. He's the one who picked up the phone in February, tells police he hasn't seen her since December of 2019, has a history of domestic violence incidents with Angela Boswell, owns the family compound where he and his son operate a business, and Evelyn's remains were found there. Angela Boswell is Evelyn's mom. Evelyn's grandma, Megan's mom, lengthy criminal record, was arrested with her boyfriend on charges of theft over $2,500 after the vehicle they were driving in was reported stolen. That boyfriend is William McLeod. This is Angela Boswell's boyfriend, arrested in Tennessee, being accused of fleeing town in a stolen car with Angela, lengthy criminal record. And all of this was a big part of the story because originally Megan was saying that her mom had Evelyn. Okay, all of this brings us to the next question in our investigation about this upcoming trial. Is Megan going to point the finger at her family? A lot of people here, some of them have some sort of history, but obviously they are part of her family and in the life of little Evelyn. Still with us, former chief judge in Florida, the Honorable Belvin Perry. And joining us, reporter and anchor for WCYB. She's covered the case since the beginning, Kristen Kwan. Kristen, how would you describe the family dynamics here?
Absolutely chaotic. You know, when we first started covering this, like I said, we were going all over the place trying to track down whoever we could that would potentially talk to us about when the last time they saw Evelyn. And it was hard to find some of the family members. Some of the family's members didn't want to talk to us, but it was definitely chaotic. I think I remember William McLeod yelling at us to get away from him. So the whole time that we were covering this, it was just kind of a tumultuous experience for sure.
I want to read this, Judge. This is from the Knoxville News Sentinel, giving us some background on this family. Angela Boswell was just 16 when she gave birth to Tommy Boswell Sr.'s first son, Tommy Jr., in 93. In March of 2001, Angela gave birth to the couple's second child, Megan Boswell, Evelyn's mother. Angela married Tommy Boswell a few months later. By 2009, the couple was back in Sullivan County, settling with the kids in a manufactured home on a plot of land on Muddy Creek Road, but little harmony inside of those walls, court records show. In March of that year, Tommy Boswell Sr. told deputies his wife attacked him, stabbing his neck with an ink pen and struggling with their then 14-year-old son, Tommy Jr., as he tried to rescue his dad. So, Judge, I think the family that Megan is in and that Evelyn is in is a little different than the Anthonys. I mean, George Anthony is a former police officer. Yeah, they had their issues. I think they're all connected to Casey. But this family has had issues with law enforcement. Does that make it easier for Megan to point the finger at someone in her family?
Absolutely, Vinny. She's going to point the finger at her father, Tommy Boswell. He has a long history of domestic violence. She's going to also point the finger at her mother and her mother's paramour. So remember, Casey pointed the finger at George and her brother, talking about they had both sexually assaulted her. So they're going to muddy the waters up as much as possible. And we should not forget, there is an ongoing feud between the defense attorney and the defendant, Megan, about what witnesses to use. She almost tried to get him thrown off the case. So it's going to be finger pointing at its utmost, because other than that, what defense does she have?
Exactly. So, Kristen, this is a long time coming. We're going back to 2020 for all of this, and it's now 2025. Do we have a better idea now from things that have happened as to specifically what the defense may be doing at trial?
Yeah, so, we've also been covering every single court appearance that she's had since this all happened. So it's been years now. I think I've attended pretty much every one of them, but maybe two. So there's definitely things that they're throwing out there. The defense at first wanted to try to get a change of venue, all kinds of different things. But I do think that they will be looking at the family members for sure. Just because Megan has mentioned her mother before, that her mother was supposed to babysit Evelyn. So I think that the fingers could definitely be pointed towards Angela, but I also wouldn't rule out the boyfriend as well, Hunter, who she said, may have rolled on top.
Yeah, sorry guys. How could the baby be alive when she was put in the trash can? Her head was backwards. How can you survive that? I mean, I don't know. I think they could still be placed upside down. It doesn't mean, it's going to feel very good. I don't know. He might have shown the police around, I would think. I don't think the police would let him get right in there and, do things, but yeah, her head was twisted. Yicky, yicky. Yeah, I would think it did, All they're saying is that she was alive when she was put in there. Doesn't mean that, when her head was twisted, sounds to me like she was struggling. Right? I don't know. We don't really know what happened as far as that goes, but yeah, poor little girl. I mean, I do not get it, right? And the pointing the finger thing isn't going to help her. I believe the judge. I believe that there's some pretty solid evidence here, and I think that a lot of people, if anybody is going to try to say this trial is like Casey Anthony, and if the jury thinks like that in their mind, they're not allowed to bring it up in the jury room. I don't believe. But a lot of people were upset with what happened at the Casey Anthony trial. Many people believe that she was guilty. I believe that she was. I'll just put it out there. I believe she was guilty of harming her child. And so whether it was intentional or accidental, I don't know, but I believe she was guilty. And they're not going to let Megan get away with it, is my opinion. And that's kind of what the judge was thinking and saying too. Hello, Terry Jones. Yeah. Yes. And that they would a baby doesn't realize that they're going to try to breathe, right? Let me put up the warning. Guys, but yeah, they're not going to know. They're going to try to claw away. That's why I think that, I mean, they said she was wrapped in a blanket, so I don't know how tightly she was wrapped. But guys, think about it. She was 15 months old, enough to know to push her way out. And then wrapped in tinfoil. Come on, tinfoil is not that strong. Guys, that's not that strong. Right? Yeah. In my opinion, it would have had to depend on how tightly she was wrapped in that blanket, right? And then tinfoil around the blanket. Because tinfoil, if she could get her hands through the blanket, out through an opening in the blanket, and she could pull that tinfoil away. But we don't know how much other room she had and what was going on, right? She was in a plastic bag, so sooner or later, the air is going to run out. And if she was fighting, it's going to be sooner, right? Yes, I definitely want to see that. And maybe that's something, I don't know if we want to watch that again together. She had a ball of tinfoil in her mouth as well. So was it shoved in her mouth so that she wouldn't cry? Couldn't be heard. Oh gosh. This is getting worse and worse, isn't it? Guys, How could a mother do this? I don't understand it. How can a mother do this to her child? Yeah. Sounds like a terrifying way to go as an adult, let alone a 15-month-old child. I mean, horrific. I can't even, that breaks my heart. And I'm not even the baby's grandma, right? I can't. And do you think that baby's grandma cares? Look, does she care? I mean, I don't know. Maybe, I guess. I don't know. She didn't say that Evelyn was missing. She never called in, right? Only Megan's dad called in. And if the compound was that big, I could see the police asking him to show him around, so that they could look at sites and they could, look at buildings and whatever, and that's how they ended up finding baby Evelyn, which I'm so glad they did, because think if they hadn't found her, guys. If they hadn't found her, what would happen? Terry Jones, why was Megan in foster care? It's a good question. Well, look at the parents. I mean, I don't know about the dad. The judge said he had a long history of DV, right? So I don't know. Who was the baby's father? You had Casey Anthony who blamed it on her dad and her brother. Well, Megan has a dad and an older brother. I'm not accusing anyone of anything, guys, but will she? I think some of these people learn from past cases, don't they? Is Megan smart enough to think, oh, Casey Anthony said this? Net detective, welcome in, Net Detective. We're happy to have you. She didn't want to comply with her parents. That's enough. If she's rebelling, they'll take her out of the home. Yeah. Me and my mod here tonight are just learning about this case. So you guys probably know more about it than we do. That's why I showed the overview. A lot of people in our recent chats have been talking about this case. And so I wanted to get into it and kind of talk about it now that the trial is ongoing, right? I think it's important that I was shocked when people in chats last night started telling me what happened with this baby. I'm serious. Why did the mother wrap her in tinfoil, or whoever? Why did they wrap her in tinfoil? I don't get it, because we wrap our hams, in tinfoil or whatever, or, leftovers, right? Unless you get the heavy duty, strong tinfoil, but you're still, think about it, guys. You could push through that. A baby could push through that pretty easily. The dad apparently had a new family. Oh. Huh. But yet he's the one that reported it. So But and so if Megan was causing issues, I could see him not wanting her to be around. Not that you should ever get rid of your children. I don't feel that it probably didn't set a good precedent for Megan, but I think the damage is already done before that. Dad had money to buy Megan a new car, $20K, but couldn't take in her daughter and baby. And then he had the car repossessed, didn't he? Isn't that what I heard in court today? She disowned her family. I've never had a family. I read that in text, or yeah, it was texts that were submitted today in court that he repossessed her car. You know. Yeah, he did provide a trailer or something, though, for her, didn't he, on their compound? I hate the word compound because you know what that reminds me of? Isn't that what they call, like, cult compounds? Where all those people live together and all that stuff. They call those compounds, don't they? I don't know why they're calling, why are they calling this family property a compound? You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? I don't like that word. Oh, she got a title loan on her car. So the title loan repossessed. That makes sense. Oh, man. Oh. Ah. That's awful. That's awful, Jackie O. That's terrible. I thought the motive was that Ethan was going to find out he was not the father, but I have no idea why anyone would do this to a small child. Well, Ethan wasn't in the picture anyway. He was in the Army. From everything that I heard with Ethan on the stand today, he wasn't around that child much at all. But was she getting benefits from the Army for the child? That's the question. Yeah, that makes sense, Net Detective. I get that. But yeah, so that's the question I'm hoping comes out in this case. Was she getting benefits from the Army for Evelyn? And is that why? You know what I'm saying? I don't know, guys. I wasn't paying real close attention to that testimony today by Ethan. Did anybody hear anything about any kind of child support payments? She was not getting any military benefits for her. No child support. Huh. Interesting, huh? Very interesting. This case is incredible, guys. I thank you for those of you who asked me about it, because I think this is Ethan said she would ask for money here and there, and I imagine he gave it to her. Well, yeah, he was called in by his superiors because the police wanted to question him in regards to Evelyn because Megan said that Evelyn was with him. Yeah, it was repoed because she got a title loan out on it, and she didn't make the payments on the title loan. Thought that he only met her once, and Ethan gave her approximately $100. Yeah. I knew that he hadn't seen her hardly at all. And that was the time that Megan went to Texas to see him, right? I think that's when he met Evelyn. And then when he came, wasn't it around Christmas time? She kept making excuses that Evelyn wasn't available, right? It is freaky, isn't it? So how old is she now? If she was 18 then, 4 years later, 22? She's 22 now. I wonder why it took so long to charge her with first degree. You know, I mean, our justice system moves so slow. I get it that 2020 was during COVID, right? Yeah. He saw her as a one-night stand. You could tell he didn't love her. Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, there was nothing there. I think she wanted there to be. I think that's why she named him as a father. It was her way out, but he didn't promise her anything, right? I think when she saw that as not working out, you know, I think that's when things started to go south in her mind. Because, you know, could be worse if he married her and she had army benefits and, you know, I think she thought that was going to be her way out. That's why she took Evelyn with her to Texas to visit him. I don't know, Ginger. But that's not when she got pregnant. Let's finish this up here real quick.
Of Evelyn. So I could see him being brought into all of this as well.
Wow, a lot at play here. All right, Judge, before we run out of time here, Casey Anthony obviously did not take the witness stand. Do you think Evelyn's mom, Megan, I keep mixing up the names here, Evelyn's mother, Megan, do you think she takes the stand?
Absolutely not. It would be suicidal for her to take the stand and be subject to cross-examination. The prosecutor will have a field day with her.
And Kristen, we have about 15 seconds here. How does she look these days? How much older does she appear? Because she looks so young when little Evelyn went missing.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely looks, I think, older. Of course, it's been a number of years now. Her hair is definitely longer than it was. I don't think it doesn't look like she's had it cut since she's been in jail. But, you know, it's been a long time in the Sullivan County Jail. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, how she looks come trial day.
Absolutely. Kristen Kwan, WCYB, thank you so much. Judge Belvin Perry, always an honor to have your honor with us. Every defendant has.
All right. So yeah, exactly, net detective. She was very manipulative. You know, people in chat were voting that someone called Caleb was the father. Who's that? Please don't tell me Caleb's her brother. Is the sound cutting out, guys? It wasn't for me, but is it still cutting out, Melissa? It's good there? Okay. Might be just on your end, Melissa. I'm sorry. Yeah. Does anybody here know who Caleb is? Do we have to do some sleuthing? I did want to show you guys something. I don't know what it means. But this was posted by At Night about 3 hours ago. And it's just all black. There's nothing there. So if I even just show the post, it's just all black. So I'm not sure what that means. I don't know. But I did want to share that with you. Usually when they do things like that, there's a meaning behind it, right? And we usually find out. Yeah, I don't know, Ginger, what it means. Caleb is just a guy she dated for 4 months, but Evelyn was already born and almost walking. Gotcha. Okay. So it's not Caleb. Are you sure you're not thinking of Hunter, Jackie O? Because I know Hunter wasn't around when she was pregnant. But yeah, as far as Sebastian Rogers' case, I don't know why At Night put that as all black. I'm not sure. I don't know. Do not know. Yes. Yes. Her foster care mother testified and stated that she was pregnant when she was placed with her. So she got pregnant when she lived. Who did she live with before foster care? Was it her dad or her mom? Uh-oh. Is it her mom's boyfriend? Oh, man. I hate speculation. I just hate it because And, will they try to figure out who Evelyn's dad is as a part of this case? I don't think so. Right? I mean, because well, they can't take her word for who she slept with because she lies so much. So, she's not going to tell him the truth. That's kind of scary, guys. I mean, who was she living with before she went into foster care? Was she living with her mom and her mom's boyfriend, or her dad and his new family? And then that doesn't mean anything because we don't know who she was, Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If if we know who she was living with, we start there before she went into foster care, right? Eh, And then but then we need to know from those people who she was dating around that time. I mean, wouldn't her mother know if she was living with her, who she was dating, or her father, or her father's wife, or whatever, stepmother? Wouldn't you would think that they would know who she was seeing? Yeah, exactly. Because now that we know that Ethan isn't the father, but they said today, even on the stand, that Ethan already kind of had an inkling that he wasn't. So you got to wonder, did Ethan know who the father was? There could be a lot of stuff that still comes out in this trial, guys. It could be really, really spicy. Could be really spicy. Could get pretty exciting, I guess, if you think about it. I don't know. Well, I know we're all going to be glued to the trial, right? we can discuss our findings, and I'm kind of in and out because I look around for other things during the day and make some other videos and that kind of thing. So I can't just be glued to it, but we can talk about it tomorrow night. Talk about any updates with Sebastian. There's really nothing going on there. I mean, for those of you who weren't here for the beginning, I did want to mention that Brenda Jo is not feeling well, and K9 is taking a little break right now from the case, Sebastian Rogers case, and the internet as a whole. She just needed a little break, because it does wear on you after a while, So I did want to just mention that. Keep her in your thoughts and prayers. Yeah. Recovery addict. We've been watching him 37 on the objection clock. Objection counter, 37 objections so far in this trial. So that's quite a few. Quite a few. It's kind of interesting, and I hope that, like the Casey Anthony trial, that we're not totally shocked by the outcome. I hope we can get justice for little Evelyn. Whatever that justice may be, I know that Megan is considered innocent until found guilty in a court of law. We need to remember that, right? Do all signs point to her? Yes. If she is innocent, guys, somebody needs to tell her to stop lying. Because that's only hurting her. It's kind of like in the Sebastian Rogers case. If the proud feet are innocent, then somebody needs to tell them they need to stop lying and quit pleading the fifth, because that's not helping anything either. It only makes them look more guilty. You love the Screaming Goat and Insights on Law. On where, the recovery addict? I don't know. So, share my grannyism with you guys today. So, the most confused you'll ever get is when you try to convince your heart and your spirit of something your mind knows is a lie. We've been kind of talking about what's been going on in the YouTube streets, and right? And when people get confused, I thought, wow, that's so true. It's when you're trying to convince your heart and your spirit of something you know in your mind it is a lie. Right? If you're listening to something and your heart and your spirit know that it can't be true, your mind knows it's a lie, but you're trying to go, you're trying to believe it because someone you like and maybe respect is saying this is true, but your mind knows it's a lie. That's when confusion comes in, right? I thought this explained it so well. It really spoke to me. Well, those go right over my head. I haven't noticed them. So yeah, the next time you get confused and you're really not sure of something, think about this. What is your mind saying it is? Right? What is your mind saying it is? Anyway, guys, that's all I really have for tonight. I want to please make sure you hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe if you're not a member. You really want to be. By 2:00 tomorrow. We're going to have a members only live, and it's going to be fun, guys. I'm going to go into my Vegas trip for my 65th birthday, which was a year ago. So I really want, I hope you guys can all be there. I'll be on screen. If I'm feeling good enough. I've been feeling a little bit under the weather, but if I'm feeling good enough, I'll be on screen. Even if I'm not, I will still be there, and I'm gonna share some photos, a couple of real short little videos. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And no, what happens in Vegas doesn't always stay in Vegas. I'm not that naughty. But my little teaser is, have you ever had two gorillas, Captain America trying to think of who else was in that picture. Wish you a happy birthday in a very unique way. Come tomorrow at 2 o'clock and find out how they said happy birthday to me, guys. All right. We will see you tomorrow. Have a great evening, guys. Thank you for watching another episode of Granny's Crime Busters. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe and like and even share the content. You can follow us on any of our other social media platforms at YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We really appreciate you guys, and you can also email us at granniescrimebusters@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.